that level. Okay, so in my last 8 minutes, I want to introduce one more sort of breakthrough technology movement, which has also been driven by OTT. Okay, and before I talk about the technology, I want to share this use case with you. This will move ahead, skip over some of the technical meat here. Okay, you can see where this is going. A lot of second screen content. Here we go. This was Brazil last summer. Right? So EBS is a leader in broadcast sports technology, and one of the systems that they have is called CCast. Right? They have really leapt CCast forward in the last couple of years to create an interactive second screen experience whereby camera feeds at the venue, right, are capturing multiple angles, uploading those in real time. So this is actually live to a transcoding platform, right, and then distributing out broadcast quality content, right, for mobile devices and a specialized sort of second screen experience. This was their CCast platform for FIFA. It was resold to the broadcasters around the world for the World Cup. Huge amount of video. Our software was challenged to do a new thing that we had not done before, which was to carry live video as it was generated or captured, if you will, on the camera. And I guess you can call it a form of encoding, but it was HLS encoded and transferred over fast to Aspera servers, again, cloud-based. Why? Because Elemental Cloud was needed to get the live transcoding quality that they were after. That was halfway around the world, Brazil to Ireland, the Amazon environment where Elemental was running. So we had to keep consistent transfer rates over that wide area. And the difference, right, to traditional technology, and let me show you this one slide here. EBS came to us and said, this is the rationale for why we need this new approach, right? Their real-time constraint was they needed every camera feed to come in at 10 megabits in spite of 200 milliseconds of latency and packet loss. And if you do the math on 200 milliseconds of latency and loss against TCP performance, so if you were just going to use something like an adapted bitrate HTTP delivery, best case, about 2.5 megabits of throughput, add the packet loss in, about 0.5 megabit of throughput. Impossible. Just can't do it, right? You can't get the feed across fast enough to have any quality for live transcoding and second screen. So the challenge to us was make FASP work for a live byte stream input. Right? And we developed a new API called FastStream that's byte stream based on top of the core FAST protocol that does this. This is what was used, and it can go stream to file or stream to stream. In this case, we wrote, our server software was writing out to the S3 storage, so we're writing out file content. Elemental was reading it. It could also have been reading it as stream directly in memory. The possibilities of this are quite radical because they mean that, you know, remote playout at distance, I'm jumping around a little bit in order to use my last bits of time, but I want to share with you this point is so important, right? It means that the way we think about live, right, and using IP-based delivery for live can be made very different than we think of it today. Notice that I've got wide area networks that cross the United States, go international, or even really bad satellite or Wi-Fi connections, 500 milliseconds, 5% loss. These plots show how much buffering is needed, right, using FastStream in order to ensure glitch-free playback, right? And the buffering is really, really small, even for really bad networks. See that? This is the magic 2-second line. Akamai taught me that consumers will wait 2 seconds to see something, and after that, they won't wait anymore. Look how far we can go. We can go to bad international conditions and still meet the 2-second time frame for even 20 megabit per second video. Most consumer videos down here. Right? And what's so radical about this is it means you can use low-cost IP to deliver this live stuff. Right? The other thing that is kind of another thought provoker is, what does that mean to CDNs, right? Because what we do today is we serve consumer video, right, to people locally at the edge. That's what CDNs do, in order to avoid the poor performance of TCP, right? That's what. So in all these cases, TCP achieves the video playout rate in the HLS delivery because it's local. It's local because it's coming off the edge server, right? If you think about using this kind of technology, you wouldn't necessarily have to serve it off the edge. And furthermore, with our traditional models, it's not possible to do it any other way, right? You can see you only get a fraction of the playback rate with HLS streams. So this is why this transport problem, in our opinion, is such a big deal. We've engineered our entire OTT model today around the fact that we basically have to get stuff close to people, right, to have high quality. And then on the ingest side, there are already opportunities to change how things are done by using IP rather than traditional satellite feeds and baseband video. So I'm going to stop there, you guys, because I'm at just 2 minutes left in the hour. I know this is a lot of information to provide, but I hope it's been interesting for you. Do you have any questions? Anybody want to raise any questions?
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
Michelle, in your example of NBC and Perform, where did the encryption happen and what did that do to latency?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in all of our cases, encryption is, almost everybody runs with encryption in all transfers, and it's done on the fly. And in terms of transfer throughput, it does not change transfer throughput at all. I mean, technically speaking, each packet carries a few more bytes in it, but the achievable throughput is comparable to unencrypted transfers until you run out of CPU. In today's Intel hardware, we use some of the Intel AES and I optimizations, and most hardware these days is good for about 2 gigabits of encrypted throughput on a single CPU. So that means a single computer can transfer at 2 gigabits a second with the on-the-fly encrypted transfer stream. So you don't really lose, if you will, any efficiency or any of the properties I'm talking about with encryption. And furthermore, everything I showed assumes that encryption is being done. Some companies choose to do encryption at rest as well, and especially going up and down to the cloud environments. The file systems will offer you encryption in the file system, but it's often very slow. We do that on the fly, and that's used in many of these workflows, right? Go ahead.
Michelle, when you were talking about NBC, you referred to a playout center in London. What is that playout center for? Is that broadcasting into Europe?
Well, so that is, I think that they work with Arqiva, I believe is their provider, and that's where they do a lot of, I guess it's European playout, it's one of their major global playout centers, right, so.
You keep referring to IP links, just making sure that all these are unmanaged internet IP links.
Yes.
That's the whole point of it.
That's the whole point of it. You said it so well. The idea is that you use what you have, right? The broadband internet that you get access to, right?
And that's assured delivery with some kind of APC or retransmit technology or something.
Yeah, and then I didn't go into a lot of detail about FAST, but the whole point of the core transport technology is a fully reliable delivery, right? FAST does retransmission of drop data. It's a different model than TCP, but it's by design, right? So yes, everything is fully reliable.
Typical delay values that it introduces.
Typical delay values?
Delay
In terms of live content, right?
Yeah.
So and that's where I had to go through this quickly because I really had a little more material, but this is what I wanted to point out. So everything we talked about before is basically bulk transfer. So there is no notion of delay. What matters, though, aligned to your question, is how much do you have to buffer to get that predictability and play out? And this was my point. If you look here, this is the initial buffering, right, or delay in the live feed that you would need in order to ensure a glitch-free playout, Aspera delivery of that feed at the playout rate. And this is what I was pointing out for 10 megabit per second live feed. It's a second and a half for a network with 250 milliseconds and 2% packet loss, which is pretty bad in a continental network condition, right? And that is what was, World Cup was 200 milliseconds and actually a little bit more on the packet loss side, right? So it's very interesting because the delays are very small, right, for very bad network conditions. Any other questions?
Good.
So-
Well, thank you, Michelle.
And I just want to say, feel free to come see us at NAB.
Good.
Well,
Thank you so
Thank
much.
So before I let you go, a couple things. One is next month's meeting is in April for our NAB wrap-up. Following that, we have a talk on cameras, lenses, and then following that, we have in June a barbecue at Shaw Global on Bloor Street. But you need to be a member to go to that particular meeting, so full circle to what I said earlier this evening. If you're not a member, sign up. And again, if you are interested in being in the panel, if you go to NAB and you want to be on the panel next month, please see Andrew, and he'll see if there's room on the panel. Again, thank you very much for, sorry for the confusion in getting into the building, but it was one of those last minute things. Oh, by the way, do you know that these two doors are locked at 6 o'clock? No. So, sorry about that.
Can we get out the front?
You can get out yes, you can get out that way, I'm told. So if you see an alarm go off, run.
They're on YouTube under look for Sarah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah,